All right, looks like you got about 30 of you guys, so I guess we'll get started. How does the audio sound? Went and grabbed a new headset. Looks like you got about 30 of you guys, so I guess I echoed myself out. So let's go ahead and get started. So we'll just go over my plan for today is just go over the console lineup and give some basic descriptions of anything and answer any questions that you guys may have over anything in the lineup, and we can maybe go into a little bit of other stuff past that if we get bored or whatnot. So all the consoles in the Titan lineup, with the exception of the T1 and the T2, can do 16 universes with up to 64 using TitanNet processors. All the consoles are multi-linkable, so we can take any console and use it with another console. For multi-user, it doesn't have to be a Sapphire Touch with the Sapphire Touch. You can multi-user in a T1 with a Sapphire if you so watched. Everything has the Titan remote for iOS and Android, which has greatly improved in versions 12 and 13 from the problems we were having in version 11. That's all cleaned up now. Shows are compatible across the entire range. So if we take a show from a Sapphire Touch, we can run it on a T1 just fine. Only one universe because it's a T1, but the show file itself would load just fine. Whereas we could also take a show from a T1, load it up on a Sapphire Touch, and it would run all day long. Everything will output DMX, ArtNet, and streaming ACN. So first, we'll talk about the Sapphire Touch. With Sapphire Touch, we have 45 motorized playbacks that are touch sensitive, two 15-inch touch screens with up to two externals. The Sapphire Touch is the only one that can do two externals. Everything else can only do one. It has a trackball with Z-Ring, a built-in UPS, 8 hardwire DMX outs, dual Ethernet, Stimpy, MIDI, and contact triggers. The whole screen assembly tilts, and it retails in the U.S. for $39,000. I'm only going to quote U.S. Retail prices. Talk to your dealers and distributors in your area for pricing in your area. Next down, we have the Arena. 40 playback faders and 3 pageable groups, 4 optical playback encoder pots, 15-inch main screen with brightness control, 7-inch secondary touchscreen, also with brightness control. Has built-in UPS, a 4-port managed gigabit switch with its own UPS. It also has PoE. One thing nice about the UPS is that it is independent from the other one, so if you had to power this cycle the console for any reason, your networking would not go down. It would stay live while you got the console restarted. It also has a fiber out, so you can take fiber straight out of the back of the console and go to backstage, take it, run around the generator 3 or 4 times, and then to backstage, not having a single degradation. It also has a secondary Ethernet, 8 hardwire DMX outs, Stimpy MIDI contact and audio triggering, and it retails in the U.S. for $21,995. Next we have is the Tiger Touch 2. 10 playback faders, 10 static playbacks, 15-inch main screen, available with a built-in UPS, forward hardware DMX outs, dual Ethernet, Stimpy, MIDI, and contact triggers. It is available with a wing with 30 playback faders, and that retails for $59.50. The console itself retails for $15,995. Next we have is the Quartz. This is what I own personally. 10 playback faders, 20 executor and macro buttons, 12-inch main main touchscreen with brightness control, DVI-D output for secondary screen. With this, and this is actually pretty much true for all the consoles with the latest hardware, is it is a digital out only. So if you're trying to hook up an old VGA monitor, you're going to need a active converter box to be able to output the analog signals to an old VGA monitor, just to trap. They can catch you guys out sometimes. 4 hardwired DMX outs, gigabit Ethernet, headphone out, MIDI and audio triggers, and retails for $96.75. You can also get it with the travel case. This is how I have my quartz, and I love it this way. Highly portable, includes the Titan mobile wing, has space for cables and accessories, and retails for $12.995. Next we have is the Titan Mobile. 10 playback faders, 20 executor and macro buttons. It is USB powered, so you don't need any external power supply. It just gets the power straight off the USB port, which is great. 4 hardwire DMX outs, MIDI triggers, and retails for $4,200 in the US. Next, we have the Titan Mobile Wing. 20 playback faders, 30 executor macro buttons. It is also USB powered. It works with all consoles except for the Titan 1 and the T1. It does work on the T2, Mobile, Quartz, Sapphire Touch, Tiger Touch, and Arena. And it retails for $26.95. Next we have is the T2. 10 pageable playback faders on 60 pages, 2 DMX outputs, Stimpy in USB MIDI. So with version 12 plus, USB MIDI was added, and it also works on the T2. Supports the mobile wing, like I said a moment ago. It is also USB powered, has dedicated keyless control section, touchscreen support, and retails for $1,200 in the US. Then we have the T1, which is what replaced our old Titan 1. 10 pageable playback faders on 60 pages, single DMX output, USB powered, dedicated keyless control section, touchscreen support. It's a new, more robust design. If you guys might remember the older Titan ones that were just a dongle kind of stuck outside of the computer, was kind of a bummer because it was a little easy to break. This is nice. It's got just a standard USB cable, a little bit more robust, and they're pretty tough little boxes. I've been throwing one around for almost a year now and haven't even scratched it. And it retails for $299. Then we've got the TitanNet processor. Built-in touchscreen, 8 hardwire DMX outs, dual Ethernet, has a standalone mode, so you can take it, say you've got a architectural install, rather than have to put a console in a closet that's got a pretty knobs and buttons people are going to play with. You can put this in the server room, and no one's going to think of it anything other than just another server, and potentially cause problems. It's built-in UPS, has MIDI and Stimpy triggering, and it retails for $10.995, as well as adding 16 universes per TitanNet processor to your system to get it up to a current maximum of 64 universes. And then the Avo key, talk about that real quick since a lot of people don't know everything about it. But the Avo key is Avo's new anti-counterfeit security system, is required for V12 Plus. There are 3 types of Avo key: the red tip, which is for Avo consoles and AI servers; the external, which is for Titan Mobile and AI license keys, so it replaced the Bondi, Miami, as you know, licenses, and be able to run the latest versions of AI. The last is the editor key, which is used for the simulator and the old Titan 1. It also includes a demo for AI. All Avo keys are $50. The other thing about the editor key is it will give you 1 universe out over ArtNet or streaming ACN, quote unquote, unspoiled, so it doesn't do the lights go crazy thing in the simulator. You just launch the Titan Go software for that. If you need to simulate more than 1 universe on version 12, you would just launch the simulator with your editor key plugged in, and then you'd be able to simulate as many universes as you need. So that is everything on that. These slides are all from my normal class, and we'll do more stuff on this tomorrow. But for now, any other questions here? Scrolling back and seeing you guys silliness that you guys are being. Thanks for saying my voice is sultry, Rands, and thanks for the link, Sam. So yeah, I'll open the floor to any questions. What do you guys got? No questions at all? Yeah, there are different Avo keys for different purposes. Like I said, the red tips are for installing inside of consoles or AI servers. The external or silver key, as it sometimes gets called, is for your Titan mobiles and AI licenses. And your editor key, which is also a silver looking key, but it's specifically for using the simulator, having the one DMX output as well as a demo for AI, and I believe it has a demo for Notch on it now. When's my album coming out? Never. How easy to set up Stimpy with a quartz and a T2? Dead simple. Literally just plug the T2 in to the quartz, and it just works. Uh, have tested it and worked just straight away. No silliness at all. The media consoles are absolutely obsolete. Uh, I am not exactly sure how to answer that. Uh, Sam, do you know? I know they're not being manufactured anymore, but there are new things on the horizon. Yes, you can use a simulator with capture on different machines over StreamECN or ArtNet. It will just be have this spoilt DMX, so every few minutes your lights will go crazy. However, if you're using the editor key and you use Titan Go and you're only using one universe, you can do that without the DMX spoiler in there. Beyond it, no. There's one that's specifically meant to for your Titan mobile, so it can run version 12 and higher. And there is the editor key, which is for simulator and everything else. So yes, there are two different silver keys. It's kind of hard to explain. You can also use your silver key from a mobile as an editor key, uh, but it is more specifically meant for your Titan mobile. Does that make sense? Hello, Ruben. Theorist note is not possible to change the speed of a macro from real time, full time after you've recorded it. At least as far as I know, you may be able to do it by going into the macro and changing it in hard code, but I'm not positive on that. Any other questions? There, at least now there's some movement. Why are these questions posting up here? So, not all the questions are coming up on my live stream, but I luckily have my iPad connected and see them popping up over here. Let's see here. No, thanks for answering that with the macro Seb. I knew you would know if you were here. Rihanna, yes, you only need to get the one for the mobile. You don't really need to get the editor key also, since you have an older mobile. It is not possible to create an LED wall within the internal capture visualizer for Synergy right now, at least. Hopefully that'll change at some point, but it is pretty simple to do in the full version. Um, I always say buy the full version, spend the dime. It's worth every bit of it. I bought it since before I worked for Avolites, and think that it is one of the best things since sliced bread, so to speak. And in the next couple of days, and over the next few days, over these live streams, I'll be using the full version of Capture to show stuff with Synergy to you guys. What else we got for other questions? Adam, I'm going to try to put that out. I'm actually going to send it to the marketing team at London HQ later tonight. I'm going to type it up. My basic plan is to do the same thing I do in my training classes, my 2-day classes, and we'll just do a couple of chapters of that a day, and just stuff that kind of goes together, and just keep doing it until this stuff is all over. Other than that, just kind of going with the flow, at least for the questions part. This one, I was letting be a little more disjointed and shorter just so I could get a test run in and see how well I do with this and see if I need to make some changes. And these will also should get posted to the group when I'm done. Yes. My Sam, my video should get posted on that from the meeting I had last Friday with Fran and Andrew. Once they get in the schedule. Yep, Frank, my plan is to uh, have them just post to the group. At least I believe Avolites, or excuse me, the Facebook will just do that. If it doesn't, I'll make a new YouTube channel specifically for my videos. Any other questions out there? Speaking of Fran, there she is. For Size Master on the programmer, you can use the Size Grandmaster because, as I always say, Grandmasters are grand, so they will even affect the programmer. How am I syncing the lights to the effects? Uh, what do you mean, Ruben? I was syncing lights to my breathing. I'm just that good. Not that I know of, Kirk. I don't know of a way to record a cue to multiple numbers without copying the cue in the cue list. Eduardo, yes, you can. Well, actually, no, you can't do a pure per universe uh, separation of ArtNet, at least that I can think of, other than perhaps uh, if you unicast. That could probably be done. We'll go over DMX settings in a couple of days, and we can poke around with that. Josh, am I doing a clash on capture? A little bit of the internal capture. Probably go over that in a day or two, and we can uh, poke around with this with that. I'll probably be using V13, but if you don't have an Evo key, you can still use version 11.4 and keep up just fine when it comes to capture. And maybe at some point we can poke around at the full version of capture if enough of you want that also. Maybe do that as a completely separate live stream. Yes, I am living in the house. Maybe after the live stream today, I'll take a picture of my desk setup because it's just about done. But otherwise, it's kind of nice to have a uh, nice little spot that's not a cramped little apartment like I used to live in. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Capture's doing live stuff also. Vangelis and Lars are good guys, and they're much better teachers of the full version of Capture than I am. Is it possible to import a patch in XML? Not currently. You can export to an XML, but you can't import from one right now. But if you go to the Avolites users, or excuse me, ideas and features page, I'm pretty sure it's on there. You can upvote it, and hopefully we can get it added. Let me find the link for that real quick, and I'll post in the chat there. Not that everyone hasn't seen it a few times. Log in. And, oh, sorry there. Back again, the OBS crashed on me. And let's see here. Can you guys still hear me, or is it back, or is it kaput? Okay, that still seem to be there. I just can't type in the chat. Huh, weird. It said that OBS had crashed on me. So anyhow, let's see here. I think you can import into the full version of Capture with an XML, and then use that to patch into Titan. That could probably be used as a workaround, but you'd have to have the full version of Capture, obviously. I've never tried it though. Perhaps I could get someone to send me a XML patch, and I'll have to try that. And then if it does work, we can show it on another stream. And it's not because I'm a Mac user, so hush, Brad. Said you missed all my sales pitch part, and now the sales guy shows up. So, any other questions? Yes, Brad, I am going to make that schedule and send it to Fran shortly after we're done with this, or after I'm done with this. Which, if we don't have, we got another question. The effect that it's currently up on the screen and the last SKU in this SKU list is actually done with the pixel mapper. It's actually just a pixel map effect playing back on, I think there's a Roby LED 100s on the back wall of this particular show file. Show you. We could do, let's see here. You do, let's see, view the queue list, and then include this queue. And if we open the effect editor, we can see there's just a pixel map effect being apparently we've got it running twice, but you can see the idea here. That's all it is just a pixel map effect. Actually, if I release this one, there we go. Oh, sorry, Adam, I missed that one earlier. As for the USB fader wing, if the fader is related to the HUD and how. Be honest, I haven't used the HUD very much. It's just not one that I've ever really liked. I just use the the wing workspace window, which for the mobile wing, most people get annoyed with because it does the two uh, separate rows. How I've always worked around that is I put a piece of tape in between faders 10 and 11, so that just by feel I can tell where 10 is and then where 11 starts without even really looking at it, and it works fairly well for me. Does that make sense, Adam? I like it. The way I usually run my show files, which we'll get into eventually, uh, with a wing and a quartz, I hardly ever even change pages anymore. I just use my speed masters, my intensity masters, and 30 faders is more than enough for the way I like to run the show files. I got used to having just the mobile itself and just having only 10, so jumping me all the way up to 30 was quite a jump to when I added the wing. Hello, Carlos. So that makes sense on this effect, and how I was doing was just that just with the pixel mapper. Basically, I drew the target looking thing, as I like to call it, and uh, just drew that in quick sketch and then just put a zoom effect on it so it just zooms in and out. Andreas, no, there is not a change to the default playback mode. You'll have to change it on each one. However, from version 11 forward, you can select multiple play backs at a time and set them all with the same playback options at once. It's like, so if you had the Titan Mobile per se, and you had all your playbacks on page 1 through 10, you could press and hold the blue button on number 1, and then hit the blue button on number 10 fader, and you can uh, edit the playback options for all of them at one time. Does that make sense? Kirk, yes, it does. I use a Who USB hub all the time. I keep one in my mobile's travel case. I just use a little unpowered one for the wing, and it usually doesn't cause me a problem. I actually have it attached to the back of my 24-inch touchscreen. I run my touchscreen and that, and sometimes a keyboard, and I don't have any problems. You do have to be a little bit careful of attaching too many things, as the mobile wing draws a fair bit of USB power, and you'll end up shutting down the port if you overdraw the power. Let's go ahead and clear the programmer here. And so throw that one up. I have a mobile attached, which is how I'm moving my faders without actually moving them on screen. Curry, yes, they should be. If Facebook doesn't archive them the way that I like, I will make a YouTube page and send them there instead. Hey, Brian. Nice to see you on here. Let's see here. The guys that are here, I think one or two of them are expert preferers. Well, if no one's got any other questions right now, I'm probably just go ahead and end this stream here, so I don't have to sit here and start rambling. Uh, but I will get that schedule out and send it to uh, Fran over at Avolites and hopefully get it put on the page there. If not, I will also just post it in the programmers and users group, and we can play with this every day, and we'll spend an hour or two a day doing this. Line up your guys' questions, and we'll see them all then. Isaac, not currently. The way to do that, if you were doing it, would be to record the cue list and I can't remember the exact setting in cue list to record. Oh, I gotta go look here. Press record 3 times. Oops, I get on the right screen to do that. I'll just put it here. You change your record mode to quick build, and every time you hit a flash button, actually hit the blue button instead of the flash button, you would make it into a queue list, and then you can go back and add your tactical time code to that queue list. Does that make sense? That's the workaround that we can do right now. Hopefully, at some point, we will have a proper timeline. It is in the books as something to happen, just not available yet. And thank you, Sam. Yes, and our live playbacks would also pretty much work. So with that, sorry, I was reading. With that, we'll call it a day. And thanks you all for joining me and putting up with a lot of my ums and ahs. I'm terrible about that, but it's just the way I speak. So thank you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.